There are a million kitchen gadgets that you can buy to be able to cook at home. We're going to focus on the ones that we use.
There are some that are totally worth spending the extra money, and there's quite a few that are fine staying on a budget and going with the cheap. We're going to start off with Brian's most prized possession.
What's that? Oh, my Shun knives. I love these. I have two. This is the chef's knife, and I also have the Santoku, the vegetable knife. They're not inexpensive. They're like $120 to $180, but...
They're more now.
Are they more?
Yeah.
Okay, they're more now.
But this definitely goes in the category of something that's worth spending the extra money.
I've had this one for 3 years. I've sharpened it 3 times in all that time. It just holds an edge. It's very comfortable to use. Definitely worth the money. Now, another word about knives though. Really, a knife is just there to cut something. So if you wanted to get a less expensive option, as long as it fits your hand nicely and everything like that, it's fine. Just know that you're probably going to get more flex in the blade, or your blade's not going to hold an edge as well, which means you're going to sharpen it more often. That's the main differences.
Both of those problems can lead to you inadvertently slicing your finger rather than your vegetables.
Yes, so that's where a good knife is a great investment, but you know, you can get by with a cheaper one for a while until you get tired of it. Once you try one of these, you will never go back. So don't think that you're going to buy an expensive knife and then go back. No, it won't happen. You will stick with that expensive knife forever. And that's the thing. They pretty much last that long. So
next on the list is something that Brian thought he would never ever want. And now we have two. And that's the Instant Pot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we actually have 2 sizes. We have the big family size one and then we have a small one. Because I actually will use both of them at the same time once in a while. I like the smaller one because I can do smaller volumes. There's only the 2 of us. So we'll actually put the sizes of them they'll be here because I don't remember what the sizes are.
We're going to have links to everything we're talking about in the description below.
Right. The smaller one, though, I can make just a couple of portions of rice for us, which works great. Try doing that in the larger one. It can burn and it doesn't work quite as well. Same goes for beans and even vegetables and things like that.
But when we're bulk processing our veggie stock,
yes,
we're going to use the big one.
Oh, yeah.
And fill it to the brim.
Pretty much like this close to the top, yeah. And I did not think I would like them, but they are actually a nice convenience appliance that they are worth the investment.
Next up on the list is something that we bought at the price, but once we got it, oh my gosh, we are so addicted and it's crazy. And it's a blender.
Yeah. I never would have thought that a $500 blender or $400, whatever it is, would be something I would ever want, let alone be happy spending the money on. The Vitamix has been phenomenally good. You can blend up nuts and harder things without having to soak them longer, beans and all that kind of stuff without having to soak it.
Yeah. It's
so fast.
It's just so much more than just what you typically would associate with a blender. And I think it's really funny because before we got our Vitamix, we went
barely
through...
blended anything.
But we went through so many.
Like 3 in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because they just sucked.
Because we just got the cheap blender because we thought, oh,
we bought an Oster at Target for like $30.
And
I think it broke like the 3rd time we tried to use it.
Yeah.
The other part to the blender, though, is the food processor unit.
Yes.
Now, you can get a good food processor, and they can be separate. I had one for a while. We got the food processor attachment for the Vitamix, and I love it. It doesn't have a million speeds. It's on, off, or pulse, but it doesn't need them.
Nope.
It's a really nice large capacity, and it just, because it's got the powerful motor from the Vitamix, it just chops off anything. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We also got other attachments. We got the little sauce jars.
Oh, yeah.
We find those actually to be a little fiddly. So if there's something that you wanted to omit from this package, I would say
the 20-ounce smoothie one, though, I use that to make dressings and things. And as long as it's a loose enough dressing, works beautiful. Works really, really nice.
Yep. But yeah, we were absolutely head over heels in love with our Vitamix.
Yeah, so if you can only buy one thing on this list, if that's all you can afford,
get the Vitamix.
Get the Vitamix. Especially for plant-based eating. There's so many things that you're going to blend. You're going to need the food. Well, the food processor is optional, but you're going to blend so much stuff that you'll be so glad you got it. We hear from people all the time that, oh, I finally got a Vitamix, and now I see what you meant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Next on the list is something slightly controversial, but since we've got it, we've used it a lot, and that's our air fryer.
Well, they're not really controversial, but...
I guess what I meant by that is that there's so many different variations in the design, particularly now.
Yeah, we have a basket one by Kasori that actually has heating elements top and bottom. Again, we'll put the link, and you've probably seen a picture of it right now. And when I first got it, I thought, okay, I know it's not actually frying. It's a convection oven. Now, if you have a full-on convection oven in your home, you don't actually need an air fryer. So that can save you some money if you spent the thousands of dollars on the convection oven. So you don't need an extra appliance, really. But we actually use it quite often for reheating things because it's a lot faster than the oven and it doesn't use up as much energy, it doesn't take as long. So we use it for that. My biggest issue with it is I can't see what's happening inside there while it's cooking. I like to see my food while it's cooking. So we did look at the ones that have the glass. They look like more like a toaster oven. I can't pull the trigger on it because the spot that we have for the air fryer is just not quite big enough. We have a very small house. So I don't really have enough room to put that in.
So despite the fact that Brian can't watch his food and yell at it while it's cooking, the one we have is perfect for us because it's just the two of us, so we don't need extra volume for cooking, and it fits perfectly in our small kitchen without taking up our minimized countertop space, which is prime real estate.
Now that said, it does actually do a really good job of simulating frying. It's not the same, but it's better than baking. So it is a step above for like potatoes and things like that that you need a little bit of a crispy outside. Now that we're going to more of a low oil or no oil cooking methods, I'm finding it actually more effective than I did even before.
Brian has discovered a brand new way of making a nice crispy tofu. We haven't made that video, it's coming up. But
I gotta perfect it still.
The air fryer is key in that.
So that's pretty much it for the larger ticket items. Everything else from here out is a lot more affordable.
We're gonna start off with a kitchen scale. Now,
It's my third one.
We have a collection of kitchen scales.
I don't mean I went through them. I mean I have three.
We have so many. And they each have their own use. And
this one is for portioning when we're cooking.
Right.
Keep it right next to my cutting board.
This is portion control. It's right by the cooking, right, as he said, right next to his cutting board. So he can, how much of this do I need? He can measure it and he knows right away. So if you're working on cutting your calories or making sure you have your micronutrients in order, the scale really is going to help with that.
Yeah, and this one does, metric and imperial units. It handles up to about 10 pounds. So even like in a Pyrex or a glass container or a bowl, you can still measure a lot of different things. Also, it was like under $15.
Yeah.
It's the Amazon Basics one. I've actually found it to work really, really well, even compared to like my Baker's Corner one that was much more expensive. This actually does the job. And because it's small, I can keep it right next to my cutting board. It's out of the way. There's a lot of different kitchen scales out there. If you haven't used one yet, go with some recommendations, but honestly, you can't go wrong with this one. But there's lots and lots of them out there. I highly suggest getting one because a lot of recipes, we even do it where I'll use grams or ounces instead of tablespoons and teaspoons because some things like Vital Wheat Gluten, it's really not good to measure that by cups. I know I always do, but it's actually best to do it by grams because it can compact. It's very, very fluffy.
Yeah, most of the dry goods, it's better to weigh than to measure.
Right. Weight is better than volume for measurement.
All right, next up is this guy.
Silpat. I've been using these for years.
Before he even met me, he was using these. I didn't even know what they were, and then he introduced them into my life, and I was like, wow.
It's a fiberglass mat that is reinforced with like silicone or latex on the outside. They're heat resistant, usually to 450 or 500 degrees. Don't believe them. I've had them higher than that, and nothing happens. I did burn one years ago.
You did burn one.
I don't know what I did to it.
He worked extra
I think it was under the
hard.
broiler. That's what it was. It was under the broiler for a long time. I don't remember.
So don't do that.
Don't use them under the broiler. That would probably be the best.
But these are great to line your baking sheet with. That way you don't have any mess to deal with. These cleanup are really easy. I think they're dishwasher safe. We don't dishwash.
Yeah, we don't even have a dishwasher.
I don't even know, but
you actually said you prefer parchment.
I do.
I have something to add to that as well.
So you can get parchment if you don't want to sell that.
Yeah, parchment paper works the same way. You just have to cut this. Now, I would like to say something. When I was baking more bread, I noticed that cooking bread on a Silpat, the bottom didn't get crusty like it does with parchment paper. So that is something that I do That's why we have both.
Yep.
Depends on what I'm cooking. But for most things, the Silpat works just fine.
I like at least something in there because it helps with cleanup so much. And the parchment, you don't even have to clean. You just throw it away.
Which is why I don't love it, because it's wasteful now. It's a consumable item.
But there are some recycled parchment papers. I will see if I can find that. If I can, I'll link it. If not, I'll just...
So somebody already threw it away and now you're reusing it.
Sure.
That works.
Next up that is something that I don't think we actually show on the show very often.
We might have once.
But we use it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a
spider.
And so what we do with this is you scoop out pasta, veg, seitan, whatever you are simmering or cooking in a liquid, and you instantly drain it and you can put it aside. So this works really great for pasta because in many of our recipes, we want to reserve that pasta. So if we dumped it through a colander in the sink, all that pasta water is gone away.
Pasta water is like...
It's magic.
The goodness.
It's magic.
It comes from pasta.
Don't drain that.
Yeah, the spider, I actually usually drain pasta with the spider because I keep the pot of hot water right here, and then I'm cooking over here, so I just move things in, and then I have a ladle just to scoop over the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think these are typically used when frying.
Yeah, and a lot of Asian cooking, they'll use them for frying.
We don't really use it for frying. We use it for what I already said. But I found that this drains stuff so much easier than a slotted spoon. Those slotted spoons are just annoying.
Plus it holds a lot.
Yeah. So
they're really convenient, and
spider.
they're really inexpensive
They're
too.
cheap.
If you have an Asian market anywhere near you, you can find them.
Yep.
She'll probably find a link to one on Amazon.
Right, but if you do have an Asian market, you could probably get it a lot more affordable there.
Mine. Yeah, I think that's where we got this.
Either that or the flea market, yeah.
Oh, the flea market, that's right.
Market. If you have a flea market, go visit it. Don't be afraid.
See if they have a kitchen store.
And if they have a kitchen store, you may find a surprisingly large variety of goodies waiting for you at a really reasonable price.
Yeah, and stuff like this, I've had this one for years.
Yep.
And the only thing that's happened is some of the wire back here is coming a little bit loose, and every once in a while I'll hit it, and it'll cut me. So I'm just going to bend that back in place.
I'm going to fix it.
I'm going to fix it right quick and in a hurry. There we go.
All right.
It's all fixed.
Next. Speaking of the Asian market, the bamboo steamer. Now, these come in so many different shapes and sizes and with different attachments and stuff. A friend of mine recently got one that comes with a metal tray that it sits on. So that way, if you don't have the exact right size pot,
oh, that's fantastic.
It'll sit on any pot.
Because I was going to say, you got to make sure that you're getting it for the right pot. Because we have 3 different pots that are this shape that we could put water in, but only one of them actually works.
Yeah.
The other one, this sits over the edges and it drips all over the place.
It has a little lip that this fits in, so anything that condensates on it is going to go back into the pot rather than all over your kitchen. So I am actually not going to link this one. I'm going to link the one that has the metal tray. Sure. Okay. Because that's going to really save you, and any of the drippage is going to be caught in that tray and go back into your pot.
That's fantastic.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
The great thing about these, first, they're naturally non-stick, okay? Most things don't stick to them. It's bamboo.
If you have something that's extra sticky, like some of the rice papers,
parchment paper,
you can use parchment, or you can use a leaf of cabbage.
Yep. The other great thing about these is they're stackable. If you have a couple of them, you have 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers, as many as you need. I mean, within reasonable limits, obviously, but that way you can have lots going at once. It is usually our size is an issue.
Yeah. Also, if you're going to do a mountain stacking, you want the stuff that doesn't need as much steaming to be on the top, and the stuff that really needs the focused heat to be on the bottom.
Because they are designed to leak, essentially. So some does get out. It does kind of funnel it all the way through, but it'll be cooler by the time it gets to the top than it is at the bottom. So that's something to keep in mind. I wouldn't go more than 3 or 4 layers on these.
Yeah.
But these are cheap.
Yeah, so I will link the one with the cool tray from Amazon in the description. But again, if you have an Asian market or if you have a flea market, you might be able to find these really inexpensive, and they're great.
Now, there are appliances that'll steam for you, and you can even do it in an Instant Pot, sort of. But my issue with a lot of those is they're metal, and food sticks to metal super fast. Anything sugary or high protein is going to stick to metal super, super fast. I just like this. It's kind of a cool rustic thing too. It's just neat.
And last, but certainly not least, at least not in this household, is dough scrapers.
Now wait, one of them is a dough scraper, the other is a board scraper. Because I do not scrape dough with one and I do not scrape the board with the other.
Okay.
As you can tell, these are important to me.
He's very...
This is a board scraper. For me, I use to scoop things up and place them into another vessel. I will also scrape the board down after making breads, pastas, or even sometimes seitan, if anything's stuck, because this has it's not a sharp edge, obviously I'm not cutting myself, but it's sharp enough,
it's rigid
and firm
and
enough
flat, yeah,
to be able to scrape that board clean, okay? Whereas when I'm working with dough, I use this. And this is the shape you want. It doesn't have to be green. I really wish it wasn't green.
Well, they have them that are curved on both ends. And
yeah, I don't like that. I need it to be square on this side and round on this side. There's reasons.
I can't find those
The round goes into mixing bowls really nice. The square goes into almost anything else. And that's why I love this.
I will try my hardest to find this exact shape on Amazon, but I don't think
apparently we didn't confer on this item before we started this video
anymore.
We will have to find something like it then.
Yeah, they have them that are
Full square.
Symmetrical, and they kind of do both tops are kind of curvy. They're not as curvy as this one, but they're more curvy than that, if that makes sense.
I will have to look at them and I will give my seal of approval.
So another thing with the board scraper, as Brian was determining this was going to be called, he likes to scoop things this way to transfer. Try doing it this way.
Do you know why I don't do it that way?
Because then it
Because food gets stuck up underneath.
Yeah, but you've dumped stuff by doing this way. So
I dump stuff anyway. I make a lot of messes.
You
don't see it in the videos, but there's a lot of messes made during our show. I'll just tell you right now, tons.
So those are our favorite kitchen toys. If you have something on your list that wasn't included in these, please let us know in the comments below.
Yep, and as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on
The Bistro.